do people come to you? Like, what sets you apart from other lenders so that they can have a good experience when it comes to buying a home? Okay.
So I really take pride in advising people on how to best put themselves in a position to like win in this market.
Hey guys, I am here with Arianna today, and she's a lender here with NFM. So Arianna, I want you to tell us a little bit about yourself, why you got into lending, and what you're doing right now.
Yeah, so I've been in the lending space for about 6 years now, and I absolutely love it. I'm very passionate about educating people about their finances. I actually thought I was going to be a financial advisor first, and then I got into the industry, the mortgage industry in 2019, just because honestly, I felt like the Series 6 or like the financial advisor test was a little too difficult. And then I just decided to get my mortgage license, but it was in more alignment with like what I wanted to do long term because I love real estate. I didn't know much about it at that time, and I felt that I could like have the best of both worlds because you know, you as the realtor, like you handle the actual house itself and all the things that come along with that. And I really don't have to care too much about the specific house as long as it's safe and secure. But I just discuss the numbers with the client. So I, just educate on, debt to income ratio and different things like that. But that's pretty much in a nutshell what I do.
Okay, cool. And I want to ask you about what are you seeing? What are some things people usually come to you with? Like, why do people come to you? Like, what sets you apart from other lenders so that they can have a good experience when it comes to buying a home?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that what sets me apart is, one, I'm individually licensed. So a lot of loan originators aren't actually licensed, meaning they just are an employee for a bank or a company, and they're actually not legally allowed to advise a lot of different things that I am able to. So I really take pride in advising people on how to best put themselves in a position to like win in this market. Giving them that educational piece definitely sets me apart from a lot of other lenders that don't take the time. And I will work with someone regardless of where they're at in their financial journey. So even if you're not looking to purchase for a couple years, at least have a conversation with professionals so that you're not just like shooting for the stars, kind of like aimlessly figuring out how you think you can purchase a house, because if you do that and then in 2 years you're still not ready, you're going to feel super defeated, as opposed to coming to us 2 years before you're even thinking about having a house. As soon as the thought comes into your mind, talking to us, realizing, putting together a plan to actually be in a really, really strong position in 2 years. So that's something that sets me apart. And also generally the questions that I get is, how can I, a lot of the time, some people need help with negotiating or like understanding how they can get, the best payment scenario or the best closing cost assistance and different things. And, it really is dependent on that person's particular financial situation, and I will explain that. But what I've been getting a lot, because I feel like we're definitely shifting more into a buyer's market.
Yeah, I would agree.
People are asking me, hey, Arianna, like, do you think that I should ask for seller credits or go lower in the purchase price? And I always say ask for seller credits, because if I pre-approved you for instance $250,000 and you're looking at a house for $240,000 and you have a realtor that says, I can comfortably say that it would probably appraise for, let's say, $245,000, I would suggest putting in an offer for $245,000 on that $240,000 listing and asking for $5,000 in seller credits, because as long as it appraises for that extra $5,000, you're only increasing your payment by $35, but you're saving physically $5,000 out of your pocket.
Right.
And so that usually is enough to cover majority, if not all, of your closing costs in that scenario. And then you're only either worried about the down payment, or I may have already had you approved for down payment assistance. You're bringing nothing to the closing table. As long as you're comfortable with your payment, everybody wins.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
So I like that strategy. It's like my favorite strategy.
Okay, yeah, I think I definitely agree with that. I mean, like, sellers definitely, from the real agent lens, they definitely want to feel like they're still getting something. So
absolutely,
if you're like, hey, I want you, if they, hey, you're as an agent, I'll be like, hey, my seller, my buyer wants to buy this. We're gonna buy, bid 5 over and ask for credit. So they're not losing. They're not losing anything.
The only way that won't work is if it doesn't appraise for that amount. But 8 times out of 10, I won't say 9 times out of 10, 8 times out of 10, everything works itself out.
Yeah.
It appraises for what it needs, because the appraiser is actually required to take into consideration any seller credits.
Okay.
And that's why it's important to provide the addendums and the full contract to the appraiser, because they're going to try to justify you getting those seller credits. And now if you can't, you can either renegotiate or the worst case scenario, walk away.
Yeah.
But if you don't, and I always tell people, if you don't ask for those credits up front, there's a high chance you're never going to get them. You never want to use just like the home inspection as leverage or the appraisal as leverage, because God forbid there's nothing wrong with the home.
Yeah.
They're going to be like, no, we agreed to this as is, and I'm selling this to you as is. Even though there's always going to be something wrong with the house, you might as well ask for the credits up front.
Yeah.
And so that's really what I lead with, because I know a lot of partners that I have learned the hard way to say, oh, we'll be able to renegotiate when the inspection comes. And although that can happen, there's a better chance of you just asking for it up front.
Yeah.
And just hoping everything's good from that point on.
Yeah, and I will say too that I'm starting to see more sellers are negotiating with people.
Absolutely.
So their homes are sitting on the market a little bit longer. So it's better as an agent to just try to get those negotiations out of the way up front versus trying to deal with people's mood and temperaments as the deal, progresses. So once you get that out of the way, then you can go on to the inspection and the appraisal and deal with what may come from those reports.
Because you also have to understand that even though they're selling the house, they probably have some sort of attachment to that home. So it's almost like a slap in the face if you're, asking for too much or going too little, or there has to be some sort of common ground in negotiation. Everyone kind of has to win in this scenario. And you have to understand, why are they motivated to sell? Maybe they can't sell this house unless they have a certain bottom line. And so you have to be understanding as well. But also, you're not going to be able to negotiate a $10,000 seller credit on a house that just hit the market 15 minutes ago. You are going to have to go after those houses that have been sitting on the market a little bit longer, because that seller is more than likely going to be significantly more motivated, because they're like, well, shoot, I've been trying to sell this house for a month and a half, which isn't very normal in Columbus. And so if you find a gem like that, and it's the perfect fit for you, why not sit there and try to negotiate? If you're comfortable with the payment and it's pre-approved for something under your budget, and you're okay with, like I said, your monthly payment increasing by $30 or $50, that's going to save you sometimes $10,000. And so, it makes so much more sense to do it that way.
Okay, cool. And then I'm going to end with this. What is one big misconception you feel that people have when it comes to like getting a home loan that you basically always have to answer or like demystify right away?
Oh yeah, for sure. The 2 biggest ones, which I'm probably sure, obviously everyone doesn't know it because I hear it all the time, that you have to have enough savings to put down 20%. Absolutely not true. I've literally helped clients with $1,000 or even less in their account purchase a home. Don't necessarily recommend it, but it's possible. We don't like those situations. It is like walking on eggshells from the beginning to the end, but I have done it, so it can be done. So that's not true. You don't need a ton of savings, and you don't need perfect credit. I've helped several people this year with credit scores even as low as a 512, 512, 519, 522. I've done it all. Now those clients, again, have to have some savings. If you have poor credit, you have to have money. If you don't have money, you have to have good credit. You can't not have both when you're purchasing a home. It's great to have both, but you can't not have both. It's great, it's great to have good credit.
We want you to have both, but
you have to have one together.
There has to be some balance, right? Because it is a risk for the lender. They're looking at
huge risk.
They're looking at this person like, can they pay back what they're borrowing?
Most of the time when someone has a poor credit score, or considered a poor credit score, is because they don't have a history of paying things on time. And so if we're going to give you this big old, mortgage and expect you to pay this, $1,000 plus payment when you haven't been able to manage your $300 car payment or your $50 credit card payment or your $100 student loan payment. It kind of makes us think you're not going to pay that $1,000 plus. So,
exactly.
we just want to make sure that you are comfortably in a position to be able to afford the mortgage. And there's credit counseling, there's credit specialists that I recommend. Like I said, there's programs to where you can actually still purchase with your credit being that low. You just have to have some savings and we can get you in a home.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
So I hope you guys found this helpful. If you guys have any questions, I will link the information below.
Awesome.